Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Virginia, and I hope everybody had a really amazing Thanksgiving. Our family sure enjoyed themselves. We all got together. Everything was relatively uneventful. My mom came over, my nieces and my nephew showed up for dessert. It was all in all a lovely Thanksgiving. I was exhausted and literally sat on the couch on Black Friday like a vegetable. From time to time, picking up the laptop and ordering an item for Christmas here and there. So that was my holiday. I hope yours was amazing. I hope you got all of the rest and the time off with family and friends you needed. And I hope your travels were uneventful because I heard there was a lot of crazy going on out there with regards to getting to and from where we had to go for the holiday. But here we are, nonetheless, in the throes of Christmas. We are days away from Christmas, couple of weeks, but might as well be days. And it's unbelievable to me. I cannot believe this year of 2025 has blown by this quickly. I remember about this time last year purchasing this very microphone that I am podcasting to you on now, thinking maybe next year I'll start a podcast. Maybe next year we'll figure out if this is for me. And here we are, guys, 80 episodes in. So time flies, and I'm here to tell you that you need to live each day to the fullest. I'm not going to get on a big old soapbox about it, but I am going to talk to you throughout the course of this podcast about some changes that have happened and how and why I became aware of those. But before we do, we need to get you caught up on the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. When we last left you, they were all reeling from what had happened on the yacht and all of the drama from the plane ride home. Apparently, Meredith was unhinged. And so we're going to get into Ladies Who Lunch, the sequel, and figure out where we all stand. Now, we remember that Mary's church is now open, and we just finished this last episode where she has her praise session, and then following that, she's going to have a post-church luncheon. And, of course, Mary's going to serve Dom Perignon, 2003, the year of the great Dom cleansing. If you know, you know. So Mary puts together this luncheon, and the girls are greeted in high fashion, and they all file in little by little. And then, of course, Lisa and Meredith walk in, and Lisa announces boisterously that Mary filled Lisa's whole heart. And thank goodness. Oh, Lisa, we're so happy for you. Okay, guys, I'm sensing that maybe Virginia's in a bit of a sarcastic mood, and in particular, when she speaks of herself in the third party, we may or may not have something to worry about. But I'm going to move on. So, the gift from Mary, little glass containers filled with betta fish. WTF? Betta fish? Well, I get it. We understand the irony of it all, LOL. But guess what, guys? Not a great gift to have to take home. So everybody sits down, and did you guys notice that awkward silence after everyone was first seated? Mary goes on to break the silence by telling us all that she needed to be surrounded by real friends, and that's why she's having this luncheon. But also that is why she did not invite Brittany, because Brittany called her the least Christ-like person Brittany had ever met. Well, apparently Brittany did apologize, and Mary was on the fence about inviting her, but Donatello the dog was not ready to forgive, and therefore did not give Mary his paw, which said to Mary, "We are not ready to have Brittany at this luncheon." And that's how she arrived at the decision to exclude Brittany. Scientific enough for me, I guess. Mary decides that she's going to approach Lisa directly and tells Meredith like, you guys, we just all need to apologize. Lisa, Meredith, everybody, let's apologize. Heather is really upset that the trip ended up that way because of Lisa and Meredith's behavior, and mainly because they refuse to be accountable. Meredith completely digs her heels in and says that she was just venting and reacting. Whitney thought it was more taunting and name calling. Whitney maintains that Meredith was, quote unquote, at the disgusting and vile range for about 2 hours, implying to us that the entire flight was somewhat of a shit show, while Meredith considers it venting for 30 minutes to a friend and then falling asleep. For some reason, we get Crazy Rich Asians, the movie, involved because Meredith says that's the movie she recalls watching. But if you watch her body language or look at her facial expressions, she's clearly not telling the truth, you guys. Lisa steps in to save her by telling us the plot and the ending because we wanted to know if you really watched it, then what happened. Meredith couldn't tell us, so Lisa stepped in and saved her and told us. Well, at least she tried in her best Lisa fashion. A couple of glitches, a couple of bloopers, but nonetheless, she got the main context of the movie. Good for you, baby girl Lisa. Good for you. Meredith should have just stayed quiet. Instead, she says she obviously fell asleep at the end because she missed the part with the synchronized swimmers. So Whitney chimes in, "Were you sleep talking? Because I was awake the whole entire flight and you never stopped talking." Meredith is asked if she feels badly at all for how she treated Brittany, and she says she does, but she adds a but. No kidding. Things get out of hand, and Meredith is told by Heather that she lost the right to cry when she behaved the way she did on the plane. Meanwhile, Mary is getting plowed with Dom Perignon. Mary is having none of this. She wants to have her Dom. Is Heather correct? Is a person who is better able to handle the drama or trauma and walk away without having to be carried across customs the person who is therefore tipped the scales and is wrong? In other words, because you're better able to handle a situation, does that automatically make you the bad guy and the other person is automatically the victim? Heather point blank tells Meredith the scales were tipped and she is in the wrong. You guys, Heather is activated. She is so heated about this. And then Lisa tries to make sense of things by saying she didn't realize that she had global entry, and that's why she spent 5 hours in line by herself in order not to have to go through customs with a disheveled, discombobulated, and practically disemboweled Brittany. Lisa's lies are so ridiculous. When you look at her face, you could tell she doesn't even believe them. She's making them up on the fly. And plus, she was busy chilling out to Kendrick on her AirPods, remember? And then Lisa finally says, Meredith did give Heather an ultimatum. Thank God. She is capable of living in reality. But it doesn't hold. We start to discuss the fact that Bronwyn and Whitney had lunch, and Whitney told Bronwyn that Meredith was drinking before she got on the plane in the club and was drinking on the plane and did not remember what happened. Meredith immediately says she does not have a substance abuse problem, which the girls point out no one had said she did. Again, thou protest too hard, Meredith? Meredith simply can't admit she was wrong. And end scene, guys. Bronwyn reveals to us that she is not a U.S. citizen, but instead was born in Brazil, and her parents are from the UK, so she holds dual citizenship. And she is seeking to become a U.S. citizen because she wants to vote, among other things, in this wonderful country of ours. Meredith and Lisa get together for pedicures, and they instantly start to go after Heather for the conversation at the luncheon. If these girls are trying to get on the right side of things, they're sure going about it wrong. Then Meredith goes after Whitney, and the gossip starts. Lisa and Brittany finally meet, and Brittany tells Lisa that it is like the sixth worst thing that has ever happened to her in her life. Oh my gosh, what was number 5? What do you think? And I wonder if the seventh worst thing that has ever happened to her has happened since she said that. Do you keep track? Do you have a list? This girl, she just, you know what? She's amazing for this show. She's amazing television. Like her or not, she's hilarious. I'm living for it. For not being invested, Meredith and Lisa sure have a lot to say about Brittany. Why do they have the hugest U-Haul on the planet to get rid of one mattress? So we open on a scene of Whitney driving the hugest U-Haul over to Heather's house. Heather comes out decked out in black, Chanel, no doubt, with gloves and the whole 9 yards, because she is having, wait for it, a funeral for her marital mattress. Now, I have so many thoughts about this. Are you telling me you moved from Huntington Beach to Salt Lake City to your marital home, and then once your husband divorced, and you've been divorced since the show, and then you moved into your big, gorgeous, beautiful home that you have now, and you've carried this mattress around with you for 20 years? No, Heather. Something is highly, highly not correct here. That would have been one of the first things that I got rid of. And also, this might make for good TV, and it shows that you're human and you have a nasty stained mattress. But you guys, my mattress does not look like that, and you would have to catch me dead in order to allow filming of something of that nature. Do I sound like, yeah, I sound persnickety. I sound very Karen-esque. Oh, well, I'm going to own it. You guys, I didn't like that scene. I thought we did not need to have it. I thought we could have just as well had a scene of Whitney and Heather at a mattress furniture shop or a mattress store, making a conversation over the fact that Heather was turning the page and as such was going to buy a fantastic new Sleep Number bed or something. I did not need the slapstick and the flipping and the hauling of the mattress in the heels. I didn't need that. But that's just me. Some of you may have found it very entertaining. I'm going to move on. Whitney and Heather discuss being triggered by Meredith's behavior. The fact that Heather was triggered and given her that Whitney was triggered given her relationship with her father. She's convinced that it's a bad mix of drugs and alcohol or prescription medication that she shouldn't be having that is causing all of this drama with Meredith. So what do you think about that? We don't have any access to have any sort of insight. I think it's unfair for this storyline to even be circulating, because how are we supposed to weigh in? Anyway, Brittany and her daughter finally go to therapy, thank goodness, and she tells the therapist that it felt like 7 years of neglect from her mom. She felt that she spent more time catering to her second husband's kids. You guys, this is one of the heaviest sessions that I've ever seen on the Housewives. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I think it's important for us to see human relationships and their natural evolution. I think that in a certain ridiculous way, it teaches us a little something about the human condition. And that's part of what the attraction to these shows is for me to begin with. But I always struggle when an adult is, featuring a story with their child on one of these shows. So I'm struggling to understand and to know, is this something that her daughter wants for herself too? Is this part of her healing journey? Or is this something that Brittany is sort of forcing in order to have a relationship, kind of dangling it as a carrot? Like, well, we can work on our relationship on the show together. And if that is the MO, then that's pretty vile and I hate it and I don't want to see this storyline. However, it was a heavy session. It was important. And it did look like there were some aha moments on behalf of Brittany, which is the most you could expect out of this whole thing. Then let's come on over to Bronwyn and Muzzy. Bronwyn and her mama and her daughter go out to pick and decorate bonsai trees. And they both, in fact, tell her that they are moving out. Bronwyn loses it. She shows a very insecure side of herself when her fear rises to the top. She tells them both she doesn't think this is fair. She feels like she's being left behind. She tells us that she's never been alone. She went from her parents' house to being a mother. And she's really having a struggle. Gwen says she has a boyfriend and that's why she wants to move out, meaning that Muzzy has a man. Muzzy laughs it off and says, how could I have a boyfriend when I'm married? And they all laugh it off. So back to Meredith and Brittany. They finally meet at at Meredith's bequest. She invites her to meet on some park bench. And did you notice Meredith is wearing 2 full shoes again? She's sporting the boots with the high heels. And she forces this apology to Brittany. It looked like it was physically painful for her to get those words out. And it was a very underhanded, roundabout apology. There seems to be so much contempt in the apology. And meanwhile, Brittany does apologize for bringing up the TikTok, and she agrees and admits that she was being shady in doing so. So it seems like they agree to be at an impasse, and that's where we're going to stop with this one. That's where the relationship is going to stay for a little while until we figure out what's next. I'm feeling a certain sort of way because we see that in next week's preview, Meredith presents the ladies with urinalysis cups for drug and alcohol testing. You guys, can we please stop with the lie detector tests and the testing? It's entirely contrived. And Bravo, your audience is better and smarter than that. Let's try a little bit harder and let's do a little bit better. That's that episode. Lucky for you, I took last week off, so we were 1 episode behind, and you don't have to wait to find out what happens on season 6, episode 12 of The Housewives of Salt Lake City, because I'm going to tell you about it right now. First Amendment rights and wrongs. Hear ye, stop the reactive abuse. If you didn't watch the episode, you'll understand the context by the end of this podcast. Bronwyn picks Todd up from the airport. Guess what, guys? She's wearing a costume. Surprise! Today she's a sloth. She tells Todd she's going to have a spill the Boston tea party to have kind of a great cleansing, a reset, if you will. Todd is kind of lecturing her on the way back as per usual. She says, you were right. Things got out of hand, yada, yada, yada. Todd says, no kidding. If you ask me, you all need to have a big kumbaya freaking moment where you all sit down and apologize for your wrongdoings because even you have done some wrong, Miss Bronwyn. And scene. Whitney and Justin, they're really struggling. You can tell that she completely and totally blames him for the fact that Wild Rose Beauty went the MLM route and it all backfired. So the scene that we see is very telling. Whitney sitting outside having a glass of wine, has a kind of I don't give a F attitude about the whole thing. And out comes Justin, kind of very gingerly walking into the situation with a, how are you? And she says, well, I just noticed that a huge amount of money has disappeared from our account. And Justin explains that he feels it's important for them to make good on their debt and that he made a transfer to pay one of the vendors that they owed. And even though it's hard to see it all kind of go away, he feels like it's the right thing to do. So they get into this really big, long, deep conversation about how, you know, he feels bad. He apologizes for the fact that he thought that that was the way to go for them to expand their business. Whitney essentially says, like, without really saying so, that she doesn't forgive him, that she holds him responsible, and that it all backfired because they decided to go the MLM route, and that Whitney was really depending on Justin to kind of have her back. Is she responsible, or does the fact that she trusted Justin make it his fault? I don't know, guys. This one's not done. This is a work in progress, and it is quite obvious that there's an incredible amount of resentment within this marriage. And I'm going to tell you a little something about one of my experiences at BravoCon. I walked up to Whitney Rose's booth, and Whitney was doing a publicity moment. She was taking photos, and also I think it was like Zach Reality was sitting there waiting to interview her. And Justin was standing right in front of me. And I said hi to him. And he said hello. And in the probably 3 minutes that I was standing there, no fewer than 5 people, mostly men, no surprise there, walked up to Justin and told him how lucky he was to still have Whitney in his life. She's beautiful. She's smart. You're so lucky to have her. I don't know if it was an ongoing theme, but I'll tell you that in those 3 minutes, it happened at least 5 times. And you can tell that he has a sense of, what's the word I'm looking for? Resolve. He's kind of just resolved to just hopefully be her ride or die. All he kept saying to everybody was, yes, I know I'm lucky. Yes, I know she's beautiful. And kind of just, I don't know. It was just really, it was weird because he was kind of outside of the booth and she was inside. And at the time I was talking to Justin, I was waving at Whitney and she waved back at me. And it was really indicative of, in my opinion, it just seemed like a really poignant illustration of their relationship. You know, she's inside with all the cameras and all the photos, and he's standing just outside, kind of looking over his shoulder, longingly admiring her, while people tell him how lucky he is to have her. I don't know. We then took a picture. We chatted for a few minutes, and I went along my way. You can see the picture on Instagram if you'd like, but I thought that was kind of an interesting takeaway as far as their relationship dynamic. Onward and upward, Heather gets ready to send Annabelle off to Tampa, so she decorates her room. This trend is called a bed party. It's been going on for a few years. Thank God for me that it was after my kids went off to college, because in my opinion, please don't take this the wrong way, all of you bed party decorating parents, but in my opinion, when your kid is getting ready to go off to college, the last thing you need is another expense and another thing to pack or clean up. So the notion that you could dump all of this money into balloons and flowers and blankets and signs, only to have to pack them up and or throw them away a few days later seems unnecessary, but it is nonetheless a trend. And to be honest, I enjoy watching people post pictures on Instagram, bragging about, you know, oh, my kid just got accepted to insert your school. But I am secretly happy that this trend did not take place until after my boys were gone. So Thank goodness for small favors. But Heather, you guys, one thing I took away from this scene was that Heather has indeed done a beautiful job of parenting. In particular, it seems that she's not had much support from the other parent. And she has raised three beautiful young ladies. Now, I don't know them. They could be complete nightmares, but they sure as shit come across as incredibly well-rounded, charming, grounded, level-headed, outspoken, all the things that you want for your daughter. So this is it. Heather's going to be an empty nester. It's going to be her time to fly and shine. And she says that, besides the new bed, she has a new air fryer. And honestly, that's where I got stuck. Frying Oreos? Is that a thing? Can somebody DM me and tell me why one would fry an Oreo? And do we fry it like with the batter? Do we just throw it in there and fry it? Why do we fry it? I had so many questions about the fried Oreos. I literally stayed stuck so long that I had to rewind the entire first part of the following scene where Bronwyn and Muzzy are trying to make a difference. Why? Wait, what, Utah? No pride flags displayed at any type of government building? Yes, you heard it correctly. Apparently, the state of Utah passed a law stating that no pride flags were allowed to be displayed at any government building in any way, shape, or form. So, of course, in order to take action in support of the community, you need to go buy flags at a sex store with your 80-year-old Mormon mom. I mean, how else do you motivate change? Muzzy is a character. Honestly, I'm happy to see the conversations going on between them. It was a rough start for Miss Muzzy. We did not like her. She was rough and gruff and tough. And honestly, she still is. But I think we're just starting to understand her a little bit more. And it is kind of refreshing to see this relationship kind of grow and change right before our very eyes. Muzzy tells Bronwyn that she's been a great mom for Gwen. And Bronwyn gets incredibly emotional, and understandably so. You can tell from the very start that all Bronwyn longs for is her mother's acceptance, her mother's approval, and her mother's love. It's actually a very important scene that illustrates the dynamic between a daughter and a mother, and the possibility that it's really never too late to learn how to start communicating. What a precious conversation this was. I was honestly touched, and I was glad that I rewound it after having gotten distracted by the fried Oreos. So it's a really, really beautiful, touching moment between the two. And Muzzy says that she would give Bronwyn a hug, but she realizes that Bronwyn is indeed hug-averse. So let's talk about that. Are you prickly like a warthog? Are you hug-averse? Do you like a nice squeeze hello and goodbye from a person when you see them? Do you not like handshakes? Are you a side hugger? Are you one of those people that gives the best hugs anybody has ever had? Think about it. Where do you fall in the spectrum of hugging? Me, for one, I'm a hugger. But I'm also very conscientious of other people's body language. So I'm not that person that just blindly runs up and hugs somebody without knowing that the hug is welcome. And if I'm getting to know someone new, I'm pretty, I don't know. I err on the side of caution, or I'll just point blank ask, which I have found very refreshing. Did you know that if you want to know something, you could just ask? Mind blow moment. That's true, you guys. Some of the moments that we spend as adults going around and around in circles could easily be solved by just being pointed and asking a question. So it's time for the Spill the Boston Tea Party. The get-ups are right on par for the SLC gals, except for Lisa, who always disappoints and shows up in a white blouse and black pants, swearing that she's Hamilton. Oh, Lisa, Lisa, Lisa. Donning powder wigs, Bronwyn takes the ladies back to 1773. And let's get ready for my favorite dumb statement of the episode. Well, it came from none other than Mary.
Is this real food? It's real food. Does hot dogs go that far back? Are they BC? What's a J-Dog? Oh my gosh, I'm gonna come back for that. Is it that good?
It's that good, Mary.
I'll even take McDonald's at this point.
What in the world?
I'll have the fish fillet. At least I know what it is.
Because we all know that the Boston Tea Party was BC, before Christopher Columbus. And we also all know exactly what is in a fish fillet, also known as a fillet of fish. Anyway, ladies, the answer is 100. 100. Hey, listen, I have the answer. It's 100. There are 100 senators, girls. Holy smokes. The spilling the tea ceremony, it's bound to go smoothly, right? Everything's going to go fine. What could possibly go wrong if we're spilling the tea about one another and then, or admitting that we have said something about someone and then throwing the tea into the harbor to signify a new beginning? What could possibly go wrong with this? So, as far as the tea spilling goes, it is the same Salt Lake antics. One real apology, and then we get some kind of half-baked apologies. Then it's Bronwyn's turn. So she apologizes to Whitney, for betraying her trust, and quickly decides to grab her package and get ready to throw it in the harbor. But no, wait, Bronwyn. Whitney's not so quick to accept the apology. Things start to heat up, and Whitney's upset because she says she thought she was having a private conversation. And of course, we all know they're referring to what happened on the plane with Meredith going after Brittany, or according to Meredith, not really going after Brittany, just venting to Lisa. Yada, yada, yada. That's what they're all talking about. But Whitney's not so quick to forgive Bronwyn for betraying her and says that she just doesn't trust her now. And so then we move on because it's Meredith's turn. Uh-oh. And Whitney says, if you want to go there and you're going to start calling me a liar because Meredith says you're a liar, then Whitney says, let's do it. Alcoholic, pill popper. OMG. I'm sorry. This moment, phenomenal. I was mouth agape, laughing out loud, screaming, go Whitney, because I love that she has found her voice and that she is not going to back down. So, of course, Meredith, appalled, stands up and says, well, if we're going to go there. And she walks off set, comes back with these black bags that she starts to hand out as gifts to all of the ladies. Well, aside from having a little can of Meredith caviar, we have multi-drug urine test cups. Yep, you heard it correctly. Multi-drug urine test cups. 1 second it's light and funny, and the next moment Whitney is confronting Meredith about her concerns with alcohol and medications. So it almost gives intervention, but Meredith isn't taking it seriously, and everybody else looks completely lost. Mary has concerns that Meredith can't remember what happened. And frankly, this is weird. Something happened. This is giving, to me, cover up on behalf of production. They were there. Why don't we know? Mare is just one of those people that She cannot apologize and truly admit that she's wrong. So she brings drug tests. I'm with Whitney, you guys. Meredith is full on projecting. She doesn't want to deal with this. She uses it as an opportunity to say, I've always been very open. I have a cocktail from time to time and an occasional gummy. In other words, I'm going to have alcohol and pot in my system when I pee in this cup. I don't know that proves or disproves anything. Heather is furious. And she's just totally triggered by Meredith's gaslighting ways. She can't take it anymore. Take a listen.
You lied. You believe I lied? Heather, what's going on? I'm curious. Why? Well, the root of is it that you would sit across from me and tell me that I lied? I didn't say that. Yes, you did. No. Yes, you did. Very clearly. Did she not say that? Meredith, don't gaslight me. I know what I said, but you misunderstood what I was saying. But you're still doing it to me. I'm upset. And it's because of what you did. You've questioned my loyalty, you've questioned my friendship, and you've questioned my experience. I was there. I am quite familiar with someone telling me that, like, the entire history I've been told my entire life was true when it in fact wasn't. I did nothing wrong. I was a good friend to you, and I tried to be a great friend to her. This is a big trigger for me. And especially growing up Mormon, leaving the church and having Mormons tell me to my face that the church I left was not the church that I lived in. And it was. And I don't want to be gaslit by the Mormons, and I don't want to be gaslit by my friends.
Yikes. Thankfully, Bronwyn breaks the tension. Well, sort of. She says she has an outfit change, and she leaves and returns wearing a Constitution dress. She announces the purpose of the Boston Tea Party was to create chaos and therefore adopt a set of amendments that would provide for a more perfect union. In that spirit, Bronwyn suggests that they each adopt a group or a set of friendship amendments that would provide for a more perfect union for them. And so Bronwyn starts and she says families are off limits. Heather says, be a woman of your word. Lisa says, be the friend you expect others to be to you. Mary says that we not only hear each other, but that we also forgive. Whitney, there are topics off limits, business, marriages, and children. Angie, we need to be very careful about saying things without documentation. Britt, shall we always see the best in people? Then Heather says, Meredith, you need an amendment. Wait for it.
Sure. Hear-ye, stop the reactive abuse. And that's all I have to say.
There you have it, folks. Hear ye, stop the reactive abuse. What does that mean, you ask? Enter Whitney and Google to the rescue.
Yeah, I'm going to Google reactive abuse. Reactive abuse happens when a victim of abuse reacts to that abuse in a way which could include physical violence or shouting of their own. Thank you for giving me a definition of your behavior, Meredith.
And that's it, you guys. That's how the episode ends. And next week, the ladies head to Greece. So that should give us some fun. The trips for Salt Lake always provide a bunch of content, drama, whatever you want to call it. I'm here for it. I'll be back to tell you about it. But there is a lot going on in the Bravoverse. And before I get into what I am going to share with you, I'm going to say something about the Living on the Verge podcast. There are a ton of unsubstantiated stories going around about whether it be on Reddit or on other social media platforms. Some of them have crossed over into some relatively legitimate sites, and then they are having to take things back. What I will say about the podcast is, although I am not a research podcast, I don't verify blinds, all of those things, I'm not going to put something on this podcast that I know to be false, or that I know to be some sort of speculation or some sort of, clickbait. That's just not what we are about. Having said that, let's talk about what we do know that is, alleged, but still relatively substantiated enough that it has become accepted, and or there are receipts to prove it. Starting with Todd and Candy. Apparently, Todd is challenging Candy Girl's prenup, saying that he could not afford representation and that he was under duress at the time of signing. Is this divorce going to turn ugly? I guess we're just going to have to stay tuned. Mauricio Mansky, he's out and about with the younger gal being photographed. And this is one of those stories that I could go a little further on, but there is no substantiation to the rumors that are floating around. So until I get something that I feel a little bit more comfortable about, I'm going to move on, because we all can substantiate Kelly Dodd's horrific behavior with her daughter. Did everybody hear that voice message that she passed along to her daughter, essentially threatening her? Kelly Dodd, seek help, honey. Your entire family is begging you to seek help. Now, the one thing I will say is when everybody around you is pointing at you, you may want to take a look at you. And this morning, I woke up to the news in her own voice that Teresa Giudice may be moving to Miami. I told you guys, I said it a few podcast episodes back, there was speculation that Teresa might be making a move to Miami. Her girls are down there in college, and now there's no reason why she shouldn't follow, especially when there happens to be a Real Housewives franchise down there. And she happens to be already friends with some of the girls. Stay tuned. We'll see what happens. Okay, who's watching the new Vanderpump Rules? I would like for you guys to get into the comments, DM me, tell me what you guys are thinking. There are mixed reviews going on about the premiere of season 12 Vanderpump Rules, which a lot of the backlash is surrounding the fact that they should have just changed the name and rebranded the show, because it's already starting off, under the gun, given that it has really big shoes to fill in its predecessor. So word on the street is they should have just rebranded. What I told you guys even before the premiere has already proven to be true. My girl Natalie Maguire is the breakout star, so much so that she was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy just right after the first episode. So she's kind of the villainous character, it looks like so far, but I'm going to stick to what I said. I met her. I've chatted with her. We are friends on Instagram, and we DM from time to time, and she's always been super cool to me. So I love you, Natalie. I hope you'll come on the episode, on the podcast, and talk a little bit about why you're getting such a mean girl edit straight out of the gate. Ladies and gentlemen, 90 Day Fiancés Chuck Charlie Charles Potthast has passed away at age 64. That is the father of Elizabeth and Andre. And he was on a lot of the episodes during their season. And even as recently as this last season of Happily Ever After, he showed up and he went with Elizabeth and Andre to Moldova, only to find out that Andre had been lying to Elizabeth about the investment property, and Chuck confronted him. We don't have any details, and the family is furious that people are speculating as to the cause of his death. Out of respect to the family and to Chuck himself, I am going to refrain from any details. And all I will say is I can only imagine the gaping hole in that family right now, because he was, in fact, the glue. So my heart goes out to the entire family of Chuck Pothast. Rest in peace. 90 Day Fiancés Mike. Remember Mike of Natalie and Mike? Well, he has a new wife and she's pregnant. They just had a baby shower. She's going to have a baby girl. And he just looks like he is living happily ever after. Hint, hint, TLC. How about bringing him back and following him? I think it would make for really good television. And if nothing else, it would really piss Natalie off, which would be fun to watch. What did I do? Well, it's been a busy week, you guys. That's why I normally have this podcast episode out early on Wednesday morning. And here we are Thursday, and I'm running to get this posted for you. But it's been a busy week in the very best of ways. This is by far my favorite week of the month. It did not start off this way, but for some reason, I have 3 good friends and we try to get together once a month to have a meal or go shopping or go to a movie or do something, just spend some quality time together. And it's been working out that it happens the same week of the month with all of my friends in a row. Monday, I had a couple glasses of wine and an early dinner at the bar at Bolero with one of my very good friends. We had an amazing time. It had been a while since we'd seen one another, so I was glad to give her a squeeze and spend some time with her. We're going to see each other again very soon, so I'm glad I am back in my regular routine. Tuesday, I met another very good friend for brunch, and I'm going to go back to this restaurant probably next week and do a review for the podcast because we enjoyed it that much. I did not want to detract from the time with my friend because I adore spending time with this friend and the conversations we have are deep and meaningful. And I didn't want to detract trying to keep track of what I was eating and reviewing the food then and there. So I'm going to go back and do that because I really do think it's worth it. And then yesterday, you guessed it, I was back at Bolero with another friend. This time I ate something completely different, had another couple of glasses of wine, and an equally wonderful time. We were there from 11:30 until 4:35. We had a lot to talk about, clearly, and we had a wonderful time. My favorite part about this is I'm realizing that before we leave at the end of our date, we usually will make a date for our next encounter. And what's really cool is that 3 of the 3 people that I got together with this week, not only did we make our date for our next encounter, but we're enjoying each other's company so much that we've made additional dates in between so that we don't have to wait so long to see each other. And maybe we're not going to meet for lunch. Maybe we're going to go to a movie, or maybe we're going to go for a hike, or maybe we're going to go shopping, but we are getting together. And that tells me that my friends are enjoying my company as much as I am enjoying them. I love you guys. Thank you for being in my life. And before I move on from this section, I would love to wish a very happy birthday to my youngest grandson, Ezekiel. I love you so very much. He is 9 years old today, and he is enjoying the time of his life on his family vacation at Disneyland. I hope you're having an amazing time. I love you, and I cannot believe you are 9 years old. You are my joy, my happiness. You make me so proud of the legacy that I have built. You, along with your cousins, are one of the main reasons that I get up every morning, put one foot in front of the other, and I'm so grateful for the life that God has given me and the love that I have from my family. Happy birthday, Zeke. Let's move on, guys. Health and wellness journey. Okay, if you're wondering what's been going on, I'm going to keep it short, but I'm going to keep it real, and I'm going to keep it honest, okay? My health and wellness journey has always been about my mind, body, and soul. For whatever reason, I have been struggling a little bit with the blues last week, and so far this week has been completely different, which is amazing and tells me that I need to see my friends to keep the blues at bay, and I also need to keep busy. My walking is down, and I'm sad to report that I have not been walking twice a day. In fact, I'm struggling a little bit because old lady problems. I struggle with bone issues and pain in my joints. So when I wake up in the morning, throw on my workout clothes and get ready to head down the green belt for my walk, and I can't see the green belt because it's socked in with fog and it's so cold, it's an immediate deterrent. I'm not looking forward to going out there in the fog. It's creepy to me, and I know I'm going to get, aches and pains for the rest of the day. So it's my immediate excuse to not walk. And I'm sorry. I'm going to be honest and report that 4 out of 5 times I failed the test. So I did, in fact, only walk one time last week. And I'm going to tell you something else. All of these lunches out with my friends have resulted in an epiphany for me. So after brunch on Tuesday, I, piddled around town a little bit, and then I picked my grandson up to go have sushi for a pre-birthday early dinner, and I indulged. I ordered 2 sushi rolls. I made my wasabi with my soy sauce. I was having the time of my life eating it. I got through about half of it, dropped him off, and by the time I got home, which was no more than 30, 45 minutes later, I had the worst headache I have had, I think I'm going to say, in years. It wasn't a migraine. It was just a banging headache. And I couldn't figure it out. And I obviously didn't have the clarity with the headache to think about it. But later it occurred to me I had copious amounts of soy sauce, which I no longer have, even though I really, really love it. And I think the soy, along with whatever MSG they must put in their sauces, just did not sit well with me. And as a result, I ended up having a cranking headache that lasted the rest of the day. Guess what else happened? The next day, which was yesterday, I woke up with swollen joints and achy bones again. And I've been keeping track of what supplements I'm taking, what medications I'm taking, what sort of exercise I'm doing. And of course, I've been pretty religious about my food journal. Not always all 3 meals per day being logged, but for sure at least logging 1 or 2 meals a day and kind of keeping track of what I'm eating. And my takeaway was I had been eating out so much that all of the seed oils have snuck back into my system, and I feel like crap all over again. So I had told Jen that I could be good 80% of the time and cheat 20% of the time. We had talked about coming up with the formula to tell me exactly how many meals a week this meant I could kind of have a little something that's not necessarily great for me or on my program. And I haven't gotten that far yet, but I could tell you that I tipped the scales last week. I'm definitely was not doing 80-20 if you consider Thanksgiving. And darn it if my body is not saying, look, I don't know what you were doing before, but what you're doing now, I don't like it. Headache, body aches. My ring does not fit on the same finger. I've had to put it on the next finger. So I'm drinking copious amounts of water. I'm going to try to revert back to my clean eating, and I'll be back to let you know, what that does for me. But don't fret, guys. While I have not been taking the very best care of my body, I have in fact been working on my mind and on my soul. And I have discovered something that I'm sure many of you have already discovered, but if you haven't, let me be the vehicle that unmasks something that has, no kidding, changed my way of thinking about so many things in the span of 3 days. I'm not kidding. What am I talking about? I'm talking about this little book that I had heard about pretty much all year, but really started thinking about over the last couple of weeks. So on Black Friday, I was sitting there and Audible was having a 99 cents for the first 3 months special. And if you join, you got to download the book for free. And I thought for $3, I'm going to do it. So I went on, I signed up for Audible. I set a reminder to myself to cancel in 89 days. And I downloaded my free download of The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins and her daughter Sawyer Robbins. Have you guys heard of it? If you haven't, I'm going to read a little synopsis about what the book's about, and then I'm going to spend just a couple of minutes, I promise, because we're coming up on an hour here, but a couple of minutes talking about what it's done for me already. 2 simple words will change how you think about your entire life. If you're struggling to achieve your goals or feel a little happier, the problem isn't you. The problem is the power you give to other people. In this book, you will learn how 2 words, let them, can set you free. Free from opinions, drama, and judgment of others. Free from the exhausting cycle of trying to manage everything and everyone around you. There's a better way to live. The Let Them Theory is a proven method that teaches you how to protect your time and energy and focus on what matters to you. You've spent too long chasing approval, managing other people's happiness, and letting their opinions hold you back. Learn how to stop giving your power away and start creating a life where you come first. Your dreams, your goals, your happiness. Let Them is a simple tool that millions of people around the world can't stop talking about because it works. The fastest way to take control of your life is to stop trying to control other people and focus on what you can control, yourself. By letting other people live their lives, you finally get to live yours. What a fascinating concept. So, real quick here, I got through the book in like a day and a half, 2 days, the audiobook, and then I decided I am going to try to share this with people I care about. So I invited a couple of friends to join me in a book club, and I'm going to extend this invitation to you. If you guys would like to have a virtual book club, go out and get this book. You could download it on Audible. You could get it on Amazon for somewhere around $15. I saw it on sale and I went and picked it up at Target. It was 30% off. It came to $20 and it's the hardcover. And what's cool about the hardcover is that it has an appendix, which has some extra information and resources. But what I discovered, I was thinking yesterday afternoon on the way back from my long luncheon with my friend, how blessed and lucky I was that I have people that I can enjoy my afternoons with and share a meal with and laugh and make future plans and talk about, sad moments and wins and losses. And I just thought, I'm really grateful and I'm really lucky. And I don't feel this heaviness that I felt this time last year in my life. I don't feel like I'm missing something or like I am constantly looking for others' approval. And what occurred to me was that in many, many ways, I have been practicing the Let Them theory in my life over the last year. And I've been doing so, obviously, subconsciously, without any knowledge of the tools and materials that are given to me in this book. But just by knowing that I can't control other people's behaviors, just by recognizing that people will tell you how they feel about them and you need to believe them, just by understanding that I did not need to put energy into anything that wasn't putting energy back into me, I was able to forge new friendships, change how I feel about myself, change how I stand up for myself in the world, stand by my boundaries and be proud of who I am. Feel empowered enough to come out every week and speak to you guys, knowing that I'm putting myself out there and anything is possible. Having said that, I felt this overwhelming sense of happiness rush over me when I realized that the way that I've been living my life over the past year is exactly how I'm intended to do so. And so I'm going to continue We're going to read the Let Them Theory in my book club. We're going to have some moments of sharing and hopefully some mind expansion. But go out and get this book, you guys. And if you're interested in starting a virtual book club, we will probably be getting into our first meeting surrounding the Let Them Theory book somewhere in the middle of January after the holidays. So it'll give you time to go out and get the book, do some reading, see how you feel about it, and then sit down at a virtual group with other like-minded individuals and have a conversation about it. I was so validated by knowing that what I am doing with my life is exactly what I need to be doing, and that the happiness that I'm encountering is real and genuine because of things that I have done to let other people be themselves. I've let go and let God, and that has served me so beautifully. So let me know what your thoughts are if you've already read the book, if you want to read the book, if you totally disagree with everything I'm saying. I love a spirited conversation. Let's have it. I'm getting ready to leave you, but before I do, I just want to share one super quick recipe with you guys because it was the hit of the appetizers at my Thanksgiving. It's just a dip, and my favorite part is that now I'm going to have it in my refrigerator probably all the time. Here's the recipe. Lemon Greek yogurt dip, 1.5 cups of Greek yogurt. I use Fage 5%, 2 to 3 grated garlic cloves, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, 1 to 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, the zest of half a lemon, or more if you like it, 1 tablespoon of parsley, 1 tablespoon of dill, finely minced, salt and pepper to taste. Mix it all together, chill it for at least 20 minutes, the longer the better, and serve it with your favorite veggies. You guys, it's protein packed because of the yogurt. It's yummy and tangy. It goes really well with a nice glass of wine or a cocktail, and it's virtually guilt-free. Get on it. It is delicious. Have it in your refrigerator. And when you're hungry, instead of going for the potato chips, go for the lemon Greek yogurt dip. Okay, that's my tip. I gotta go. I have things to do, and I have to get ready because tonight is the night the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills will be back on our screens. I'm not going to commit to following it this season because last season I was like so anxious and oh my God, I'm going to tell you guys all about it. And honestly, 3 episodes in, I was mortified that I had to continue to do it through the whole season. So my new take is if it's enjoyable and entertaining and I think you guys want to hear about it, I'll tell you about it. If I get a lot of requests to follow a show, I'll consider it. But I'm not going to do it just because it's the latest thing on TV. Although I have a sneaky suspicion that this is going to be a really good season with the additions of the new cast members. I can't wait to see it. So that's it for today's show. I hope you enjoyed it. I missed you guys, but I did enjoy my time off. I'm not going to lie. I will be back tomorrow to cover whatever has happened between then and now. I'll probably give you a little recap of Beverly Hills if I'm able to watch it before then. And then we'll be back on our regular schedule Wednesdays and Thursdays starting next week. There will probably be some sporadic gaps as we approach the holiday because I'm a busy woman, guys. I have tamales to make, gifts to buy, houses to decorate, much like everybody else. But that means I can't be sitting here in front of this microphone morning, noon, and night talking to you guys. So bear with me if I'm a little sporadic over the holidays, but I cannot believe that we are almost a year into this podcast. And I just wanted to take a moment to thank you guys, especially those of you who have been with me since the beginning. Thank you so very much for your loyalty. Do me a favor. Follow, tell a friend. Let's make 2026 the best year for this podcast yet. And I wish you all the best for all of your holiday adventures, experiences. Don't stress out. It's just a holiday. It's just a day on the calendar. We don't have to spend so much energy. What we need to do is be aware of how fleeting and how valuable time really is. I'll be here until next time, living on the verge. Have a good day, guys.